everybody shouldn't be able to get on a platform and speak on things. Sometimes you just don't need to speak, because if you're going to speak, say something.
Okay.
But that's the thing that I get tired of with some of these platforms like TikTok, because you can say a whole bunch of nothing, have a whole bunch of followers, and everybody will follow you, and you've said nothing. And listen to this dude. They start off good. I was thinking like, okay, okay, I like what you're talking about. And then I'm like, where you going and where you coming back to? Listen to this.
This video will require you to lock in. Civilization was designed to replace humanity. And I'm not talking about politics, ideology, technology, greed, human failure, whatever you want, belief, human invention. I'm naming the pattern beneath it all, because there is a pattern, a stable pattern in abstract space that is far older than humanity, older than culture, and older than gods. It does not live in organisms. Organisms fall into alignment with it. Wherever extraction can outrun regeneration and consequence can be delayed and abstraction can replace contact, the pattern will appear. And it's worn many bodies, and it's wearing us now, because the pattern has a historical body, and that body is called civilization. I'm just trying to tell you what it is. Civilization is not a neutral tool. It is not a container. It is not a servant. Civilization is a replacement engine. It is designed to replace humanity with function. Civilization was not created to serve humanity. Most of humanity was created to serve it. And you can see the pattern in the locust. A grasshopper is a local, green, limited, participatory animal. It eats, the land recovers. But when density crosses a threshold, something shifts. Serotonin rises. Contact accumulates. A switch flips. The grasshopper does not decide, it aligns. Its body darkens. Its appetite becomes endless. Limits dissolve. The land becomes stripped bare, and then the swarm dissolves. Not from evil, but from completion. And you can see it in ants, and in algal blooms, and in bacteria that poison their own world with oxygen. Life itself has entered this pattern before. This is not a moral failure. This is a structural possibility of reality. So humans did not invent this pattern. We became its most powerful host. We had abstraction, symbolic storage, future modeling, surplus energy, and distance from consequence. These were not sins, they were interfaces. And when agriculture crossed density thresholds, the pattern found a new mode, civilization. So at first, I'm going to show you how this even looks. I'm going to give you an example. At first, the world looks whole. The man is in the forest. The axe is movement. The tree falls and the forest remembers. And then a thought appears. This tree is not me. The tree becomes lumber. This is subject-object split, right? I'm just trying to put you on. The forest stops being a relationship and becomes a resource field. Nothing breaks immediately, and that's why it works. And then once the split exists,
it's a point where you have to stop smoking so much weed, because it makes you go too deep within yourself. So if you're listening to him, he builds up these points that end into like nothing points. The whole point of this is talking about the world crisis and what's going on with the world. But then he goes so deep into stuff, you're like, where's the world crisis? Is the crisis in the world or crisis in this person's head?
Exactly. I still don't know what he's talking about. If your POV is the world crisis, you need to lead with the crisis that you're talking about and then work backwards.
But what he's saying,
he's
saying this is the deepest structural breakdown. So he's thinking he's breaking down the structure that he said that I have ever attempted on why humans systematically experience collapse on every level. So this is all about why the human collapse is happening and the things that are failing in this world. And this is what he's claiming that is the key. But funny, 1 million people are almost in agreement with this man.
Or looked at it. And then you don't know how much of the video they actually looked at. But look, I'm curious to see.
When I say, looks in the comments, when I say connecting the dots, this is what I mean. That's why the first day of school is so traumatic. You go from you to a function. Modern day philosopher. See the way this guy gets passionate about this? It's my hope in humanity. There are people actually thinking.
Key.
People believe this brother.
But what he said was, go back. The way this guy gets passionate about this, we don't know what this is. He's not even saying what he thinks that this is. The whole point of his energy and how he's moving is what's attracting people, in my opinion. Now, to me, if you're going to talk about the world crisis, you need to get into the world crisis right off the rip.
But we have to keep going in.
Okay, let's go.
People say what's scary is that the comment section does not comprehend this point. There's no escaping the system built to absorb everything. So basically, he's talking Matrix. That's why I guess he must be talking. But I think it's so deep.
Okay, let's see.
It seeks completion. The river becomes water. The animal becomes meat. The land becomes property. And another human becomes labor. And guess what finally happens to the self? The self becomes useful. right? The split turns inward, right? Right. So here's the pipeline, how it shows up in your life. You are born human, but you're converted into function. It always starts in stage one. You start with an identity and they turn it into a role. Someone asks you, who are you? But the answer is no longer I am. It becomes a job title, a school, a status. Your being becomes utility. Then stage two, the role becomes a performance. You must execute correctly. Metrics measure adequacy. Your existence becomes conditional. And then stage three comes in right on time. Performance becomes permission. Good performance grants resources. Poor performance withdraws them. Survival becomes earned. And then stage four hits like a truck. Permission becomes morality. Work becomes good. Rest becomes lazy. Productivity becomes virtue. Idleness becomes sin. And that morality reaches identity. I am what I produce. The conversion is complete. Human instrumentality achieved. No external oppressor required. You now self-enforce your own instrumentalization. You are your own warden. And you can't even think outside of it. I want you to understand you cannot think outside of civilization. Because civilization installed the thinking apparatus. Your categories were not discovered. Race was not discovered. Race was assigned. Class was assigned. Wealth was assigned. Gender roles were assigned. Status was assigned. Merit was assigned. Success and failure were made the fuck up. I'm trying to put you on. All civilizational abstractions. All of them. Even your own name was designed deciding. You're right.
Okay, I don't think this is a world crisis. To me, he's pointing out, points of how civilization has started and what's going to make a civilization run, which are humans with assigned roles, assigned jobs, with assigned identities. So anyone that's born into a family is going to have to decide on who they're going to become within themselves. So, okay. But it's not a crisis.
But he's saying that it's been assigned by something else. So instead of you making it, the wealth is being assigned to certain people. Your gender role is being assigned to certain people. So are you talking about, when you talk about assignment, are you talking about how God assigns, or who else assigned it? Because when it comes to gender roles, that comes through as a semen.
There's nothing new under the sun.
So I still want to know what's making the matrix of almost 1 million people, 255,000 likes, think that this is the way that we are. The matrix, I just need the stuff come across the screen, the green stuff on the matrix.
Your naming conventions were standardized by Romans 2 full civilizational cycles before you existed. Your calendar, your week, your hours, your inheritance structures, your educational model, your legal personhood, all of them are preloaded. All of them. You do not stand in civilization. Civilization stands in you. And that's why escape fantasies fail, because you cannot leave the water using the concepts water taught you. And this is the mistake people think in. Gods can fix this. God can fix this. No God has ever addressed this situation, because they think gods stand outside the pattern, like gods oppose the pattern, like gods interrupted. They don't. Every god that has appeared inside history has either emerged already aligned to the pattern, or been absorbed, inverted, or repurposed. Let's go through them. Yahweh is a civilizational God from the start. Yahweh was never a threat to civilization. Yahweh is a God of law, land, borders, lineage, obedience, continuity, and inheritance. A God of accounting, a God of command, a God compatible with empire. And that's why Yahweh was not crucified, because Yahweh already belongs to the pattern. Let's talk about the real God going on here. Abba, right? That's the interruption that had to die, because Abba was not Yahweh. Jesus never said the word Yahweh. Abba was presence without a ledger, forgiveness without a transaction, worth without productivity, life without a hierarchy, and love without a boundary, and rest with no permission. Abba dissolved every role. Abba collapsed moral accounting. Abba returned people to participation, and that cannot be absorbed. So it was executed. They did not crucify God. They crucified the interruption. That's all they did. They didn't kill God. They killed the Father. And then civilization performed its most elegant move ever. It absorbed the core.
They didn't kill God. They killed the Father. Nigga, what? If I'm not mistaken, it's the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit were all one. So you're saying that if they didn't kill God, they killed... Look how confusing that is. Why would this be making a bunch of logical sense to 1 million people?
Mm-hmm.
Corpse, and then built a church around it. Let's go to Buddha. Let's go to Buddha right quick, right? Dissolution. That's all it was. This solution got contained because Buddha names the trap: desire, attachment, identity. So civilization doesn't fight Buddha, it domesticates him. Meditation becomes optimization. Mindfulness becomes stress control. Liberation becomes private wellness. And awakening was neutralized. Let's go to Allah, because Allah appears transcendent, but structurally, Allah is an absolute authority requiring total submission, an eternal law, and continuity without interruption. A God perfectly compatible with civilizational order. Absorption was seamless. It was seamlessly absorbed into civilization. We can even have fun with it. Let's talk about Zeus, because Zeus was never outside the pattern. None of them were. The Olympus mountain was an empire mythologized. Hierarchy, domination, violence normalized. Zeus did not fall. He became unnecessary. The state absorbed his function. So every god that is ever born made a choice: remain illegible or become useful.
Every God that was born, if I'm not mistaken, God was never born. God has always been here and always will be. So there was never a point of creation from offspring, or from parents. So I'm just going on with this. This person is so deep into their head that these kind of people that get a little older and start cults. This right here is the origin of I've started a cult.
That is the choice of every god. If a god remains illegible, it is destroyed. If it becomes useful, it is absorbed. There is no third option. So I'm just being honest with you. Civilization does not deny God. No, it doesn't. It replaces God. It becomes the source of law, the arbiter of worth, the distributor of survival, and the judge of morality. And like all gods before it, it demands sacrifice. Human sacrifice, but just not on altars. So I'm going to show you what civilization does. It replaces humanity. Sure does. It replaces participation with abstraction, presence with performance, care with compliance, and relationship with roles. It turns humans into instruments of throughput. Burnout is not a malfunction. It's not a malfunction. It's the completion signal. It means the instrument has been fully consumed. So I'm going to be flat with you. No system in existence can save you. Communism is going to curdle. Anarchism will crystallize. Western civilization, Eastern civilization, capitalism, whatever you want, free market, constrained market, whatever you want. Every system will repeat the same betrayal, because systems are water and abstract space has a hill. And whenever a system is poured, it flows downhill. And that basin has a name. It is the hyper throughput attractor. Every system that is ever born must choose: preserve the human, preserve humanity, or preserve continuity. It will always choose preserve continuity. Not because it's evil, but because continuity is required for the system to exist at all. Humanity is not. So it's not corruption. I'm just talking to you about physics. So this is the most dangerous part about it. The pattern is extremely easy to instantiate. The hyper throughput attractor does not require malice. It doesn't require greed or even intelligence. It doesn't require anybody to be.
I see a cult leader. I do. The more he talks, and the more that he makes. And creates all these weird ideologies of God.
Absent from proving a point.
But
more he is absent from proving a point. It doesn't. So what? 1 million people. It's 8 billion people roughly on the planet. 1 million people with the same thought, with the same thought processes, or may agree on a point. Okay, great. Which means 1 million people, and some of these people don't even know what he's talking about. I'm going to get over half of these people are clueless as to what this point is, because he ain't made one yet. The world crisis. Okay, so what about the world crisis? He's talking about how civilization is the different. You can't have a civilization without humanity. But where are you going with it? How are you going to solve? You're going to have to live. You're going to live and you're going to survive. So what are you going to do?
He's basically saying everything about civilization from our Father in heaven down to the beetle on the ground is inverted. If you think about it, everything he's talking about is inverted from the top to the bottom. So that's why you have to be mindful about these kind of people. You have to be mindful of these people, because they go draw a large crowd. People jump to them and they be out here confused. Listen to a quote somebody said. Somebody quoted him, said, "Humans didn't invent the pattern. We became the most powerful hosts." Humans didn't invent the pattern. We became the most powerful hosts.
And from the beginning of man, it's continued to evolve. The human has continued to evolve from 0 to 2026.
I think that's the only thing that the people are getting right about him. I wish I could be this articulate. I think his over-articulation and his education.
Passion.
But that's how you lead people to cults. That's how you lead people to drinking the Kool-Aid in an island somewhere.
Is this education or is this Google? Or is this Chat GPT? I mean, I just
saying
don't.
him? You still calling him ChatGPT?
I'm just saying, this is not, he's not giving you any new information.
No, yes, he is. Everything is new. He's reverting everything.
He's not giving you any new information about humans or civilization.
Yes,
what
'cause
he's
he's
doing
inverting.
is jumbling it together to make him sound like like he has a point he wants to prove, and like he's actually saying something. He's not saying anything. He's not
That
saying
requires-
anything.
Let's keep going.
Just these conditions. So the pattern instantiates wherever consequence is delayed, virtue is abstracted, extraction is rewarded, regeneration is externalized, and continuity is prioritized. That's it. That's all. No ideology is necessary. No conspiracy is required. No central control is needed. You can build it accidentally. You can build it while trying to prevent it. You can build it while believing you're righteous. So let me give you the conditions again. Consequence is delayed. Value is abstracted. Extraction is rewarded. Regeneration is externalized, and continuity is prioritized. So a village that stores surplus without immediate redistribution, vulnerable. A tool that increases efficiency faster than accountability, vulnerable. A system that remembers outputs but forgets the cost, vulnerable. A structure that survives its makers, vulnerable. That is enough. Once instantiated, the pattern does not need enforcement. It reorganizes behavior automatically because people align, because alignment is rewarded, and deviation feels unsafe, and resistance appears irrational. So the pattern does not coerce anybody, it selects. That's why every system eventually betrays humanity. That's why reform accelerates collapse, and that's why optimization sharpens the blade, because the hyper throughput attractor is not rare, it is easy. It's easy. And this is why it appeared again and again across life, across history, and matter itself. And that's why it's so lethal. So I'm going to give you a formal definition. The hyperpredatory throughput attractor is a non-biological, substrate agnostic, emergent pattern in abstract space that arises when extraction outpaces regeneration under delayed
I'm gonna stop right there. But and let me tell you something. He's the kind of guy that you're sitting at the airport, right? And you're like, "Oh, how you doing, brother?" He's talking good, and then he start talking crazy. You're like, "Brother, get away from me." This is the get away from me kind of guy.
So how does he live his life, and what is his goal in life every day?
See, but that's
you
why,
have all this you have all this deep conversation about nothingness as far as I'm concerned, because he didn't tell you anything that you probably didn't already know.
No, I can't agree with you on that. I think he said everything in reversed. So the things that you do know, he's taking it. You ever see
I don't agree.
You know how orange is, the fruit is it's like in this bowl-like structure of an orange. He's just taken and flipped it out and say, eat the orange on the other way.
Well, maybe that's something that you didn't know. I didn't learn anything from this conversation.
No,
if you're a person,
the whole point is not about learning. The whole point is about people getting on platforms and they get a mass following, and they don't need to be talking. And you don't need to be talking.
But
Cypher J,
you can sound like the person that said he's very articulate. You can sound intellectual. Doesn't mean that you truly are. Well, like I said, what did he say? A bunch of nothingness. I'm very clear and I'm very aware of everything that he said and what he was trying to say. But it's nothing new. He just jumbled a lot of big words together and tried to make himself sound educated. Yeah, you're absolutely right. But 1 million people watched maybe all the way through, or maybe not.
and that's why I had to, because I was like, what about this makes the world? Because these are the people. These people that are watching and that's agreeing are in society right now.
Right. How is he living his life? Is he walking? Is he wearing no name brands? Is he creating his own things?
Bro.
But everything has already been created. Nothing is original. So what are you doing with the information? If you know all this, so what does all this do for you? That's my question.
And
how you living your life every day?
How much money has that made you? Because when I look behind him, I'm like, those look like little sheets that don't cover the whole window, and I don't know what the hell that thing was hanging off the ceiling. So it makes me think, like you're saying a whole bunch of nothing, bro. You could revert and take a lot of that energy and put it into making money, because leading people astray, and because obviously a person like this doesn't have a belief. They believe in, they are out there with their belief in God. And this person can, but I have a problem with this person like this can obtain massive amount of people and get them to follow. We don't need no more weirdos out here on this platform making massive followings.
But I would be curious to know what his baseline would be. What are you drawing people with? Like, what are you, what's your philosophy?
Yeah.
If that's what he is, because that's what he mentioned, philosophy. Okay, so what's yours? You talked about just civilization and humanity and how they have existed, they don't exist, how humans are not original, nothing's new under the sun. We got all that. But what? Okay, so what's driving you every day?
Right. Yeah.
Well, when you get up and think in the morning, okay, you're not a part of the matrix. You're a part of the matrix. You know, it goes back and forth. So how are you moving, and what are you doing every day with this type of thinking?
You know, he's my equivalent of when I wake up and get out of bed too fast. You stand up too quick. You know, so you know, and there's endless people on these platforms that are like this. And I realized that social media is the most powerful thing on the world. You can get on here and say whatever the hell you want and get a mass following for nothingness.
Yeah, because people are wanting and dying to believe in something.
No, I agree. And
They really want to believe in something. So I don't know what God he believes or he confesses to or whatever, but he wants to be too scientific.
take me to your leader.